Alright guys, well, we're back at it again doing some chicken ship stuff. We're removing the 20-inch Chevrolet wheels, and I had some of these off my pickup that were brand new. These were off my F-150, and it cost me quite a bit for these tires. So as much as you know I'm not liking putting Ford on Chevrolet, that's what we're doing. Try to save some money here, because like I said, I've already invested in these, and I've already invested in a set for this, and I really don't want to do it for this now. So what we did was bought some spacers and adapters for 6-lug Chevy to 6-lug Ford. I'm not a fan of these at all. You got to use a real thin wall impact socket to put these on. And the other thing I don't like about them, and don't like about any of these like this, is they're not hub centric. So you see, they use these to get this right on the hub instead of fitting here. So these have a bad tendency to go loose on you. The other thing I don't like about them is when these are tight, you still got a lot of this stud sticking out. So far, it clears this no problem. So we've been able to tighten everything up. But that's definitely something that concerns me. I don't like it at all. So I'm probably going to end up I'm putting them on for today, because you know we need the truck. But I'm going to probably swap these out. I may go a little thicker, and I want the hub centric. I don't like this at all. But we'll let you know how it goes. And of course, you see the Ford caps there. These are really cheap, so we're just going to replace them with the Punisher. So we don't want to give it away that, yeah, we're running Ford wheels on a Chevrolet, because I'm pretty sure that's sacrilegious, but I don't know. If it works, it works. Alright guys, I know it's sacrilegious, but we're going to put a leveling kit under here. Just, I think those other tires will probably rub, and I don't like the way the front end sits so low on this. But, I mean, to me it's definitely an improvement over those. I've never been a fan of those. I think I like that better. And like I said, we'll cover up that Ford. Maybe. We may leave it on there for shits and giggles and make people angry. But now, it's leveling kit time, so this will be exciting. A whole bunch of pages for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to jack this old girl up and put it on jack stands, and then we'll bring it back. There you go guys, there's the before and after. And when we get the leveling kit installed, we'll bring it back and show you what we got, you know, there. And of course we'll show you a little bit along the way. Alright guys, this is where we're currently at. I will make sure to video the steps on the other side. I'm sorry I didn't do it on this side, but we had to undo these brake lines here just to give them a little bit of slack. We had to take the tie rod off, and I'm not sure why, but we did. Upper ball joint, sway bar link, and dropped it down on the jack here. And then we undid the strut on the bottom and the strut on the top, which I guess gives you a little bit more room. I don't even know if we had to do the bottom. We'll do it a little different on the other side and see what it looks like. But just give you some idea of where we're at. Now we're going to go ahead and try to put this spacer in, put it together, and we'll come back. Alright, from what we've gathered, because the instructions are very vague. You know, I said screw Allen heads and billet spacer. It doesn't say anything about using lock washers or anything, but we're going to use the lock washers here on these, because the bolts or the nuts they gave us for these are lock nuts. So we're going to use these on those, and we'll use the lock washers on these. They really shouldn't come out, as they're pulling up tight against that in theory. So, but you know, I said they're very vague, so we're going to try it out. So it should go, well, when you get it lined on the right way. there. It should fit something like that. And then, like I said, they're bolted down or nutted. Nuts hold this part down. These studs come up, and that's what you attach up here. At least that's what we're going to do. All right, we got it in there. And as you can see, we used our original hardware up here, and we used the lock nuts and washers here. So everything's back in. It was a bit of a bear to get this thing lined back up, because we had to turn this bar, and that was a bit of a problem, but everything else is back together. All right, guys, we're on the other side. Now we're going to try to do this one a little bit different than the other side. Like, I'm not going to disconnect the tie rod, and I'm not going to unbolt the bottom of the strut, and we're going to see if it'll drop down enough to get that spacer in, just to save a few extra steps. I am going to pull these two bolts out right there and right here to remove that brake line, just to give it some extra slack, a little bit extra slack. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but just in case. And we're going to go ahead and pull the sway bar mount here off, and then we'll take the nut off here for the upper control arm, and this should drop on down. And I believe, like I said, I believe the strut will drop enough to get that spacer in, but we'll come back to it and let y'all know if that worked or if it didn't. All right, well, it come down enough that as long as we can get the new one on, get it pushed back in there, we're good. All right, so we did get everything back together. We did have to pull this off because you have to spin this to get the new holes to line up, so we did have to take that off. We did not have to pull the tie rod. With these spacers, if you're doing it on a truck like this, you see this, that's going to cause you problems. We had to modify the wheels on ours. I would strongly advise against that. So if you want something like this, these are only 1-inch spacers. You need at least 1.25 inches at the minimum. I would even say 1.5 inches to cover this up, just so you don't have any problems like we did. Like I said, we had to modify our wheels for this. I would strongly advise against it. Just get the right size spacers. And another thing, I hate these. I'd so much rather have the hub centric, the one that actually rides on here, instead of these, because I don't like them. They have a tendency to come loose on you. Well, hopefully this ain't problems, but we'll see. Other than that, it wasn't too awful. We're going to see how it affects our air ride on here, but I don't think my front shocks are connected anyway, so we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. All right, there she is, all finished. Got a little more shine in there, and it's definitely taller. Definitely gives it a taller stance. But once again, I would definitely go with 1.25 inches, minimum 1.5 inches on the spacers if you're going to do this, so you don't have to do what we had to. But all in all, it wasn't too bad. You'll need a thin wall socket for your spacers, because a regular impact socket just too thick and won't work. And that's about it as far as your specialty tools go. But it definitely picked it up and kept these tires from rubbing. And these are 275 65 18s, in case you were wondering. So they fit. I'll put a link down in there for what I used. But once again, like I said, I would definitely get the 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches if I was to do it again, because you don't want to have to modify the wheels the way we did. But we appreciate it, guys.